back to another episode of God Built This Podcast. I'm your host, Maxine, and we're on episode 185. Okay. Look, what I'm about to say is definitely going to come off like a hater. It's going to come off like a hater. It's going to come off jealous. Maybe it's going to come off... Because in the root of jealousy is insecurity. Yes, I'm insecure about this. So... I just want to understand, how is everybody having an European ass summer? Hello? Is the mic on? How is almost everybody I know going to fucking Europe, going to Greece, going to Italy, going to the south of France, just going overseas? How are y'all doing it? I'm just sitting back and I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss of words. I'm at a loss of thoughts, because the first question is, how the fuck are y'all affording this? Hello? Like, I just want to get to a point where I'm in on the secret. What's the secret? You know, like, I think this frivolous, I could travel anywhere and anywhere at any time persona is really eating at me, because I'm living in the real world and I can't afford that. I'm looking at the fucking airline prices alone. Never mind the lodge. Okay? And like, I know some people, like, I know there's these like travelers who don't care about where they stay. Like, if it's 5-star, as long as they're there, right? Like, they'll spend the high amount that it costs to get there. But as far as the stay, they don't care if they like, they could stay at a hostel, they could stay at someone's basement, as long as they're there, as long as they're in Paris, as long as they're there, it's fine, right? I'm not that girl, and I shouldn't have to be that girl to experience an Italian summer, you know? And I don't know. Like, I really don't know. It's like a part of me feels all those emotions I said earlier. Like, it's jealousy, it's insecurity, it's hate. It's just like, how the fuck you afford that? Huh? It's like I wanna fight you. Like, how the fuck you afford that? Yo, I was in a group chat just a few days ago with some of my friends, some of my girlfriends. And one of them, she lives out of town. Shout out to her. And we always link up whenever she's in town. Well, for the most part, we do. And we couldn't this time. And we were scheduling in advance the next time she'll be in town. And for us to just kind of pencil each other in and hang out. The other person in the chat, she was saying how, she can't make it to that future date for when our mutual friend will be back in town, because she'll be in Greece. Just like, I'll be in Greece. And this is all via text, right? I'm putting the tone into it. I'm adding my own flair to it because I'm insecure and I'm jealous. Hello? Because all of those feelings are real. But I'm adding that into it because it's just it's the fact that you could even text that is what bothers me, right? It's the fact that you could even afford that. And it's not like, oh, you could have, I'm mad that you're going, it's about, I'm mad that all of y'all could afford this, and if it comes off very easy, very laissez-faire, like very just like, oh, no, like no big deal. When in my head, that's a big ass deal. Now, granted, maybe she planned this 2 years ago, right? Or maybe she fucking didn't. Maybe she planned this 3 months ago and it wasn't a big deal. But the fact that you were able to even gather this thought and idea in your mind that you can afford to go to Greece, to Italy, to France, to all of these like expensive ass areas that are beautiful and that are, you know, one of the things that you should experience, right? It should be in your bucket list for your traveling goals. It's like the fact that you could even have that thought to afford such, I don't know, maybe it's my mindset, and I'm sure it's my mindset. But I feel like, you know, I just feel like, how do you even get there? You know, how do you even get there? How do you even afford that? You know, like, what is it? What career are you working? You know, and I have a colleague, well, a former colleague, I'm not in the field anymore, who had a European ass summer. She went to Greece, and it looked like she went for maybe a week or so. And it's just, if I were to pocket watch, right? And I don't want to say, like, I'm very, like, finicky about, like, I don't know, being, like, very specific about how much people make, but you're making the same, like, let's say generally she's making the same amount as me. Okay, how the fuck did you afford that? Right? Hello? Right. So then I'm thinking, so I'm putting all these like stereotypes in my head already, because I could be completely wrong, but maybe I'm not wrong. Right? So maybe her being a white woman, I don't know her living style, right? I don't know her living accommodations. She may be living with her parents. She is a few years younger than me, so she may actually be living with her parents. I don't know her background too much actually to know if her parents live here. Like, I don't know. Maybe she has roommates. Maybe she went with like 10 people and her share to pay for this trip is relatively low, right? So I don't know the details. So all of that could be in the mix, sure, but immediately I don't even go to that thought, because I just think to myself, you're someone who makes around the same amount as me, or, you know, or within that field, and you are able to go on an overseas trip. How? Like, I can't even fathom that thought. And I'm sure, I'm sure it's my fucking mind. I know it's my mind. I get that. But I also just feel like it's not. I also just feel like it's not. I also feel like someone else in my life who I know, who she's in the field of accounting, and she is able, like, she just, I'm going to Greece in a couple of weeks. I'm about to go to Switzerland in the next couple of months. How are you able to afford back-to-back overseas trips, international trips? Like, just how? What's the thing? Is there another reality that I'm not in? Like, am I not in the same world as you? The answer is no, right? Am I not? That's too negative. So the answer is yes, I'm not in the same reality. Because I just can't even fathom how that is the reality. You know, like, I just have one question. How the fuck are you able to afford that? You know, and I know some people, like, when they travel, you know, I gave the example earlier, you know, they probably travel in a large group. So their contribution to the trip is relatively low. So that's one way. Now, what's another way? I guess if people have timeshare, I don't know how timeshares work, but that's another way, I'm sure. But I just feel like, I don't know, doing it on your own, right? Just like affording something on your own, or, I don't feel like we talk enough about how spending money and having money and like making money as an unmarried person is totally different for a married person. Like, there's a lot of perks just financially alone. I'm just speaking to the finances of being a married person, because one, you have dual income coming in. And say if both of you have like, side hustles coming in, so that's not just dual income, that's multiple incomes coming in, and there's that support already built in. So there's that. If you're living with a roommate, then not to say it's dual income, but there's a shared agreement of expenses for the home that you're sharing. So there's a shared agreement on, who pays the utility bills, who gets the groceries this week, splitting the rent or tripling the rent, however many roommates you may have. So I think all of that comes into consideration when it comes to just being a full-fledged adult operating in this world. And when you're a one-person adult, right? What I mean by like when you're doing everything, like I don't know, like this other person that I know, I don't know her details and her finances, but I know she works in accounting. I believe she has like a full-time job in accounting. And she has her side, like she has her own small business. I think that business is relatively new, so I don't know how much profit that's coming. It doesn't necessarily mean that she's making like a large revenue with that. I don't know, right? I don't know. Let's assume that she's not, at least not yet, right? Because, I speak positivity amongst anyone, right? For the most part. But let's assume that she's not making much revenue from that. I do know about her is that she's unmarried, yet she's a homeowner, yet she's going on these fucking trips to Switzerland. How? Child, I don't know. There's this YouTuber I watch, and she was filming her European ass summer, right? And I sound like a hater. I know I sound like a hater. Oh, European ass, you gotta put the ass in it. Yes, because I'm fucking annoyed. I'm annoyed because it looks like a lot of people got the memo and I did not, right? But anyway, so she's on this European ass trip with, I don't know, I think she went there with her job. There was one time she went with her boyfriend a couple of months ago. So this trip, this is separate from her boyfriend. So it's like, what job takes you to fucking Europe? Like, where can I apply? You know what I mean? Like, what job is this? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't even understand this type of reality. Like, what job is funding you to fly out to Europe for what? What is your role? I just want to... Anyway, so she's on this trip, and she noticed a lot of the women there as she was visiting cafes and restaurants nearby. She noticed a lot of the women had YSL purses, and they would just put their little YSL purse, perch it on their chair or put it on the table. And my phone she noticed that And she was like, I want a YSL I want a YSL purse. I want one of those. I want to be one of these women who have these YSL purses and they just perch it on the table or on the chair. And guess what she did next, y'all? She did an unboxing and showed us the purchase that she just made because she simply wanted a YSL purse. She did an unboxing of a YSL purse, and it was the cream color. It was a cream color YSL purse. I went because, I'm going to look and find the details to this, right? So I go on YSL.com. It's probably not even called YSL.com, but, when you type in the YSL, Google automatically knows where you're trying to go. So I just type in YSL. I click the first thing that pops up, and I look and scroll to find the exact purse that she's showing me in this YouTube video of hers. And so I find the purse. Y'all, how much did the purse cost? Do you want to know how much the purse cost? $2,000. $2,250. And tax, probably, I don't know how the tax is over there in France, but the fact that she just simply wanted a YSL purse because she saw many of the women there have one of their own and she wanted to be like those women. So she just decided, hey, I'm going to buy one for myself, and did, while on a vacation. Some people they go on vacation and they're like, they afford the vacation, they afford the nice lodge, the quality airfare, the necessary money that you need to eat and, walk around and experience the life there. But you're somewhat vacation poor because you have just enough, or maybe not even enough, to spend while on vacation. So think about the fact that she's on vacation to Europe, a European ass vacation, and she had more than enough money in her account, in her credit line, or whatever it is, to afford and simply purchase a $2,250 YSL bag. How the fuck did you afford that? Y'all, it's like at this point, I'm getting mad. I'm getting angry because I'm 31 years old and I'm still figuring shit out. I'm still piecing things together. Right? And I think I'm even angrier in this moment, just in this moment with this conversation right now, because I'm in this space of transition, right? And it just frustrates me even more seeing how frivolous, and I'm not trying to say frivolous in a negative connotation, even though it has a negative connotation, but I'm just saying, I'm using that word to exemplify how easy it is for so many people that I'm seeing, whether in my direct life, right, in my real life, or people who I watch on YouTube or on my Instagram. It's like I see them just so easily spend a lot of money and have a lot of money to spend, right? Enough so that they could go on these European ass vacations. Enough so that while they're on these European ass vacations, they're purchasing a $2,250 YSL purse. How the fuck did you afford that? Let me drink some water. Hold on. Because I'm just at this point, you're playing in my face. Right? At this point, y'all are playing in my face. And when I was in that group chat both of my friends were talking about a future trip to Greece that they got going on. And I'm reading this like, oh, okay. Y'all have fun. questions, right? Like, I don't like to be all up in people's business. I really don't. I'm very least invasive. Like, I'm not that girl. Like, I just kind of piece things together and create theories of my own, and you would confirm that indirectly based off of what you say in conversation with me. But I'm not typically going to ask you directly, how the fuck did you afford this trip, right? Or who are you going with, right? Because then if I know that, you know, maybe you're going with a significant other, then I will have an idea in my mind, okay, maybe he's footing more of the bill for this trip, if not all of it, right? And maybe, you know, maybe your expense for it is not as ridiculous as I'm imagining it to be. Or if your response is, oh, I'm going with, you know, 7 of my girlfriends. It's like, why do you have 7 girlfriends? Like, why do you have so many friends? Then I could assume, okay, your contribution for this trip is not going to be a ridiculous amount of money because I know that you're splitting it amongst several people. So that's the immediate thought that comes to mind. But, you know, I don't ask those direct questions. So I'm just in that chat reading their future trip escapades. Oh, we're gonna go on a tour through Paris and Italy, and that typical tour that people go on whenever they go to Paris. They go on the train and I don't know, I want to go on a European vacation. I want to go on a European ass vacation. And look, like, I'm grateful for all the vacations that I've been on. Like, I'm grateful for, I enjoy my time wherever I'm at. It's just, I don't know, like, I don't know. I guess my insecurity is kicking in right now, and I don't want to talk too much before I get emotional. But I guess I just get insecure about it because it's like, how the fuck did you afford this? You know, like, how? Oh my God. You know, how did you afford this? You know, and like, when will I be able to afford something like that and be comfortable with spending that amount of money? You know what I mean? Because it's one thing to be able to afford something, right? You budget your money, you know, you set aside however much money monthly or weekly to meet that financial goal to afford such a trip, right? But it's another thing to feel like, okay, this may be a once in a lifetime experience for me. While, like, I have peers who've been to Paris multiple times. How? Ooh, okay. I'm dead ass getting emotional. I didn't mean to get emotional, but like, it's just like frustrating. Like, what the fuck, dog? Like, everyone's living this like reality that I just I can't even fathom. Like, I can't even like, I'm doing my best and I'm seeing so many people around me just like easily living, you know, like thriving. And again, like, there's, of course, you know, when you're on Instagram, when you're on YouTube, you know, these social media platforms, there's this, like, you know, people put highlights, of course, of their life, right? They're not going to show too much of their struggles, depending on what, like, type of profile you follow. Because I do follow some real ass people and they're honest and real with it, and I appreciate that. But the other ones who I happen to follow, they show this very luxurious, glamorous, and it's like, I'm not even that girl. Like, you know, I always pride myself on not being that. Like, I'm not that materialistic girl. Like, I don't care about stuff like that. But I guess that comes from this, like, space of, well, I don't care about that because I can't afford that, right? I can't fucking afford going on a European ass vacation and then spending while on that vacation, not being vacation broke, not being vacation poor, and being able to spend $2,250 on a YSL bag. Okay, we're gonna move on. Because this is... I'm just frustrated. It's frustrating. And I'm sounding like a hater. I know I'm sounding like a hater. And I really don't mean to hate on people. I really don't. Like, I do wish you have a good time, right? Like, I really do mean those things. When I say have a fun trip, have fun, I really mean that. It's just, I want to have fun too in Europe. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Iman Shumpert. What the fuck? So, is he just as stupid as Brittney Griner? He was in Dallas, Texas, just the other day, and got arrested for marijuana possession. It's like, at this point, do you want to go to jail? Like, what is going on? People say that when you're this like big time celebrity or athlete, whatever the case is, you should have someone to like double check your stuff, right? Like, you shouldn't be that careless or reckless, especially when you frequently use marijuana. Now, there's reports that say ever since he's been let go from his sports team, because he's a basketball player, he's a former NBA champion, and I don't think he's currently playing, or he may be let go from his team. I don't know. I don't really follow NBA like that. But the point is, he's in the off season, and the report is that he's been smoking a lot in his off season, and whether that's true or not, it's just very reckless. It's very reckless. It's silly, and look, I get the argument of it's just marijuana, it's just weed, right? But unfortunately, like, we have these weird ass laws in America, while some states legalize or have legalized marijuana, and it's totally fine smoking it recreationally, walking around with it, possessing it. It is illegal in other states in America. And that just is what the fuck it is. And I think regardless of if you're coming from a state that has that legalized marijuana, you are entering into a new state that doesn't have that legalized. So, like, either way, like, you shouldn't be, I think either way, like, even if you're coming from, say if you're coming, it doesn't matter, like, whatever state you're coming from, I think you should not even be traveling with it. Because at the very least, I'm sure you'll be able to find someone in your destination whom can supply you with what you need. Right? Like, I'm sure you can find a weed head, a marijuana dealer who can provide you with what you need. So to be this reckless is just like, it's silly and dumb. So according to documents sent to people by the airport, Shumpert was traveling to Los Angeles on Saturday when he was stopped after TSA agents found a sizable amount of a green leafy substance inside a backpack during a screening. He admitted that the backpack contained marijuana while he was speaking to airport officers, and asked if he could still make his Delta Airlines flight since he planned to meet his daughter in LA. He was then placed under arrest. That's so funny to me. I'm not laughing at the fact that he couldn't see his child, but it's just like, he's asking, hey man, can I just still make this flight? The next sentence says, he was then placed under arrest. Like, goddamn. Representatives for the NBA free agent did not immediately respond to people's requests for comments. Yeah. So he was arrested. Also in his bag, they found a Glock magazine with a dozen 9mm rounds. Officers took the item in for safekeeping and did not find a weapon. Okay. It's okay. It's just silly. It's very silly. All this could have been avoided, right? I'm not trying to down him for being such a weed head that he had to travel with it. It's just the fact that you didn't care enough to, hey, maybe I shouldn't put this in my backpack. Maybe I shouldn't travel with this. And maybe when I arrived to LA, I'm sure in LA, I think it's legal in LA. I believe so. But I'm sure in LA, he could find someone who could provide him with the marijuana that he needs. Okay, so marijuana is a felony in Texas. He had about 6.12 ounces of marijuana. And so that is a felony in Texas, and he could face a jail sentence of up to 2 years or a $10,000 fine if convicted. So it's all unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that. Like, despite the laughs that that I obviously expressed, I am sorry to hear that. I just think it's silly. I think it's silly. It could have all been avoided. Who knows if he was high he must have been high during that interaction when he asked the officers there, hey, can I still make the Delta flight? He must have been high. They say that he smokes a lot, so much so that his lips, the reason why his lips are black is because of the marijuana smoking. Now, I know a lot of marijuana users get mad when people say, that's why your lips are black, right? Because you smoke too much weed. That is why your lips are black. I mean, can we fucking be honest here? Hello? Is the mic on? Can we be honest here? That's absolutely the reason why your lips are black. It's not because, that's just your skin tone, and no. There's a blackening. You know how you have blackened salmon, right? The salmon doesn't come out black. No, you put it in the oven or the cast iron or even the grill and blacken it up. Like, you are purposely blackening it up, okay? It is an intention. That is the same thing with these marijuana lips. Like, your weed lips are so black because of the amount of weed that you smoke. This is scientific evidence. I'm correct here. Okay, I know it's hard to, I know it's hard to accept that. And this is so fucking dumb. I literally just applied to a job position that I saw at a hospital. That's non-clinical. Like, I'm not like applying to be a nurse or anything. I literally just applied to it. Like, I want to say 30 minutes ago. 30 minutes later, I get the rejection email. Thanks for the time and effort. Did you even fucking read it? Did you read it? I think this was the one that had me. No, I don't think this was the one, because there was another one that I applied to at a different position, at a different location, that had me completing, those assessment tests where, you select either agree, disagree, strongly agree, strongly disagree, etc. You tend to find stress when change happens. Agree, disagree. And there was 114 of those damn ass questions. You like to work with a diverse group of people. You're typically calm in stressful environments. No, I'm not. Like, when do I get this email talking about, although your skills and experience are impressive, were they enough? Oh, they didn't exactly align with what we're looking for in this position. At this point, It's just a joke. It's a joke. It's a fucking joke. Okay, Iman Shumpert was reckless. I do hope this gets figured out. You know, at the very least, he just has to pay the $10,000 fine, which still sucks, right? You know, regardless, it's an inconvenience, and he could have used that towards other things in his, you know, his home. But, you know, having to face a jail sentence of up to 2 years, even though that's not, you know, relatively that's not a long time, but it's still the fact that the fuck, you're going to jail for weed. All of that sucks, and it's silly, and it's stupid, and it just, yes, it sucks that we're in a country where the states aren't really united, right? You know, you have some states, like I said earlier, that have legalized weed, the possession of weed, the recreational use of weed, and all of that, while other states are not there and still deem it to be a criminal offense, a felony at that. It just is what the fuck it is. And it sucks that he just could not have been well sober enough to play along and make sure, hey, let me just double check I don't have, you know, a fucking bullet in my bag and marijuana. It's just interesting. So now he's like a Brittney Griner, but I mean, at least he's not in Russia. It's just something that he has to deal with in America. Hopefully, I think this will be fine. I think this will work itself out, most likely. I mean, we'll see. We'll see, child. We'll see. Okay, let's talk about this Beyonce album. I actually really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I think it's good. I know I was feeling very trepidatious about it because of the house music-esque and pop genre that it is. And the fact that I don't like Break My Soul. I think that I don't really vibe with that record. But aside from that, I love the sound of it. I think the album has a nice sound, and it has a nice flow to it, and it transitions so well to the next song, to the next track, that you just feel like you're in your own world. Like, it's actually very majestic. And I think if you're on drugs, probably like on shrooms or whatever, you know, I haven't experienced that drug, not yet at least, but I feel like if you're on those type of drugs or like even a psychedelic, I feel like this album will rock even more. That it'll be just that more amazing than it already is, because you're on a psychedelic, you're on a type of a drug that just gets you high. So there's been a lot of controversy with this album. Let's start with Khalees. So Khalees is the artist who, you know, for her big hair. She would change colors of it very frequently. Years ago, like in her heydays, it was red at one point, blonde, purple at one point as well, I believe. Some of her songs that are popular, that I know of at least, I hate you so much right now. I really like that song. That's a really dope song. And my milkshake brings other boys to the yard. You know, that's another popular song of hers. And she's an ex-wife of Nas. They were married for a couple years. They have a son together. And they had a very, I guess, tumultuous marriage. They both fought each other. I know people don't like to recognize that two things can be true, right? Like, maybe Nas was abusive, but Khalees was abusive as well. Like, I don't and I'm saying that like I'm laughing with it because it's like people don't like it's a fight. Like, it was a mutual fight. That's what I have gathered, because she talks about how that they will fuck each other up. Like, it wasn't like he would just choke her out And that's like, no, she would fight him too. And it wasn't necessarily like a fight back type. It wasn't like, oh, she's fighting him because he hurt her first physically. It was a mutual, like they were mutually physically abusive. Like that is true. That is a real experience of many marriages and relationships. Like there are abusive women out there, and unfortunately in this like Me Too, I know Me Too is kind of over now, but you know, in this era where it's only about like women victims, people don't recognize that there are, I hate to even say male victims. It's like, what? But I mean, yes, there are male victims. Like there are men who have to deal with, you know, because they're in this marriage, or, you know, they feel like they have to deal with, like, you get a fucking divorce. And that's what they eventually did, which is, you know, kudos to them. But, you know, you have people who feel like they have to stay in something and endure whatever staying in that something looks like. And unfortunately, in that marriage, it looked like a physically abusive marriage that was mutual. Anyway, so Khalees got on Instagram and was upset that her interpolation, I'm seeing this word being used multiple times. I don't know what that means, honestly. I think it's just like there's a beat that's similar to her milkshake song, and it is used in one of the tracks from Beyonce's Renaissance album, and the song is called Energy. And there's it's a short second or like 3-5 second usage of this sample of this interpolation of milkshake. Now I'm just gonna look up that definition. Okay, I just looked it up and it says mathematical interpolation. Okay, I'm not, but you know what the fuck I mean, right? It's just basically just a usage of a beat from that song. So she was like kind of going really, really aggressive online and was mad that she wasn't credited, or she wasn't even asked the permission for the usage of this sample. And she was really getting at Pharrell, who's one of the writers, if not the main writer or the writer of that song, and the producer of it. But basically she was upset because no one came to her. No one even mentioned, hey, Beyonce would like to, you know, and I'm not well versed in what the steps are to using someone else's beat and sampling that. But I'm sure there's, you know, the chain of command, and I'm sure there's an amount that is paid to use that. So like I just can't really believe that Beyonce just like took it and didn't pay something or didn't went to the right proper channels. I think because Khalees was not one of the writers, it's either that she wasn't a writer on the record, she was just the one who performed it, or she was like one of 20 and her contribution was very minimal that it didn't matter. Whatever the case is, she was upset that she was not notified and took to Twitter, took to Instagram, I believe, and expressed her frustrations. Since then, it just took a couple of days, y'all, and Beyonce removed that sample, that beat from her song. Like, it was that quickly. Like, Beyonce was like, look, Khalees is mad, you know, it's causing too much drama, controversy, no big deal. I'll just change up my song, or I'll just take that beat out from my song. Ain't no thing. Beyonce has yet to give a statement, and Beyonce's not, ever since the past couple of years, Beyonce rarely gives statements or replies to anyone or anything or any controversy. She just really speaks in her records. So in her songs, you know, whether it's a single or in an album or maybe even a documentary of hers, that is where she will express her opinions or just a response to something that probably was in the ether about her. But for the most part, Beyonce's not out here responding to anyone. Never mind a Khalees. And no offense to Khalees, but it's just like, that's how Beyonce is. So yeah, she didn't respond directly, but I guess she responded indirectly by simply removing the sample from Khalees' song Milkshake from Beyonce's song Energy, which is in the Renaissance album. So that was settled. That, like, you know, whatever. But it's just so interesting because you have a lot of people who, well, a lot of Beehive members who are so quick to dismiss anyone and anything that even comes in close contact against Beyonce. So it was just so interesting to me how people were so quick to dismiss Khalees' feelings and her reality. You know, the fact that she you know, that she felt the way that she felt, you know, whether people thought it was, people was like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. It was just like 3 seconds of Khalees' song in Beyonce's song. It is like, yeah, but it's still 3 seconds of her work, right? Like, shouldn't she still feel how she feel? Like, shouldn't you still respect that? So it's just interesting seeing how dismissive we are. And I'm not even say we anymore, because since I've been, I guess, not as active in the Beehive chapter, but like since I've been really thinking for my own and like removing myself from the celebrity worship that I've been giving Beyonce, I've been seeing the aggressive behavior of the Beehive. And I just realized, like, yeah, that's not okay. Like, it's not okay to just dismiss people's feelings just because you love and stan Beyonce. Like, you could still love Beyonce and recognize, hey, you know, maybe Beyonce should have, you know, maybe her team or whomever should have went about notifying Khalees just out of courtesy. You know, it's common courtesy, dudes, common courtesy. I still say that quote to this day. And whoever knows where that's from, you know, you're a real one. But I'll say it right now anyway. But it's from the first season of the Bad Girls Club. And whoever watched the first season of the Bad Girls Club, you remember there was a scene when they were heading down the steps to a beach. And one of the girls weren't being helped, like she wasn't being helpful in carrying the items and just the, you know, the beach furniture to the beach area. And the black girl, she was like, it's common courtesy, dudes, common courtesy. Yo, I want to find that season and just watch it. I can't believe there was a time in our lives when the Bad Girls Club was just on TV, when you had bitches just fighting, and that was literally just a part of the show. Like, it wasn't like a quick flick of it. No, it was a whole scene of girls literally pounding each other in the head. And this was on a network cable channel for seasons, for years. Like, you had a lot of women, young girls, who aspired to be on the show. Like, it was a horrible show. Like, if you look at it retrospectively, and even like in that moment, but being the young kid that I was, of course I'm influenced. But yeah, even in that moment, it was a really fucked up show. Like, why did that show even get certified or, you know, approved? Child. Anyway, so the next controversy with Beyonce's album, you have the word spaz. And spaz has been certified as a slur, as an ableist slur. Apparently, this is a slur against the cerebral palsy community. Because spaz in their world represents their spastic movements in cerebral palsy. Yet the way that we use spaz, and I'm saying we because many of us use that term, S-P-A-Z, very casually, very endearingly, really. Like, yo, you spazzing out. Like, it just means like you're freaking out. Like, yo, you doing too much. You know, so we use it in a whole different definition than how it's used in the cerebral palsy world, I guess. But I didn't even notice in the song Heated by Beyonce in this album, apparently she used the word spaz. And I don't know at one point when she uses it. Again, with this album, you're such in a vibe that it's not like I'm not picking up on the lyrics. It's just that the sound and just the flow of the words and the melody and the chords and just the instruments, like it overwhelms you so much so that you would miss this. So I missed it. Like I didn't, and it wasn't like I was looking for it, right? And it wasn't like it was one of the words, like it wasn't like it was a repeated word in the song, or it was in the chorus. It wasn't like that. So anyway, Beyonce decided to just remove that word from the song. So she just handled that very quickly and was like, you know what, I don't want to deal with y'all again. So spaz is the issue. Okay, let me go ahead and remove that. So I assume since it was easy for her to remove the word spaz from the song, I'm assuming that it was probably used a couple of times, maybe like towards the end or in the beginning. Like it wasn't used throughout the song. Maybe it was used once or twice. So that was taken out, and that was taken out very swiftly. So Monica Lewinsky decided to get into the mix. Now, look, I think there's been a shift in perspective about Monica Lewinsky and, of course, her affair with Bill Clinton. And when this affair took place in, was it 98, I believe, there was a lot of blame placed on Lewinsky rather than Bill Clinton, or rather it being a shared blame situation. There was a lot of blame placed on her and not him, him being the married man of this powerful position. A lot of people were putting more blame on her, calling her, the seductress, and, she made him do it, and, she's to blame, when in reality, she was a 21-year-old young woman who was maybe mesmerized by this powerful, attractive, older man. And because of the power dynamic between them, it could very well be a case of her being mesmerized and like in a trance for this man, right? And maybe I don't want to say put her in a position, because she's an adult, right? She's able to drink and vote and just live life. But I think the real crime is the fact that it was an unpaid internship is the crime. That's what I'm really sick of this world that we live in. The fact that she worked at the White House and was unpaid. That's the crime. That's the scandal. The fuck? How did you afford this? Yo, I don't know. That might be the title of this episode. Let's see. Let's see when this is released. But anyway, so Monica Lewinsky got into the mix by requesting her name to be removed from the song Partition, which is a song from the Beyonce album. It's called Beyonce. And this was an album that she released just out of the whim. She didn't have any press for it, no marketing. She just dropped it. And the world stopped. The world literally stopped. Like I remember that day like no other. I think that's probably my favorite Beyonce album. The Beyonce album, that's my favorite album from her. I really want to say that may be it. She has a lot of great albums, so it's hard to choose, but that's top for me. And I think it really just speaks to just the times that we were in at that time, and the fact that she just dropped that album, and literally every record is just, oh, so good. Anyway, in the Partition song, there's a line that says, "She Monica Lewinsky all on my gown." And that song basically talks about her sex life with Jay-Z. And having a partition, which is the divider in a car. So whether that's a Rolls Royce or a limo, but that divider between passenger and driver. The reason why it's called partition is that you have Beyonce and Jay-Z in the back of the car doing what they're doing intimately, while the driver is up front, driving or parked or just minding his business, while the partition is down, So there's that divider, and they have that semi-privacy so that they could do what they do intimately. But that line, Monica Lewinsky all on my gown, is actually very funny, because if you really dissect the lyric, it's actually Bill Clinton all on my gown, right? Because it's the man who's exerting his cum rather than the woman. Unless you're squirting, but who the fuck is squirting? Like, you're peeing really at this point. But I want to read a quote that Monica Lewinsky said that was very interesting to me. So first she says, "Thanks, Beyonce." This was like in 2014, back when she started talking about it. But just a couple of days ago, she referenced the song again and requested, while we're at it, Beyonce, Partition. That was her tweet. And basically alluding to the fact that, hey, while you're at it, Beyonce, while you're at, quick to remove the slur, spaz from your song, and quick to change or remove the beat from Khaleesi's song, from your song in this new album, go ahead and change that lyric from Partition so that my name is no longer used. But back in 2014, Monica Lewinsky said, "Thanks, Beyonce, but if we're verbing, I think you meant Bill Clinton all on my gown, not Monica Lewinsky." And that's actually very true, because technically it's the man with his warm ass cum. It's cum. I don't know. It's a nice feeling when it's nice and warm. Okay. But yeah, Bill Clinton all on my gown. But it doesn't really have that sound to it like Monica Lewinsky all on my gown. I'm listening to that song right now. But it's very interesting. So anyway, let me read this part. When one Twitter user asked Lewinsky why she maintains the reference to a rap song muse in her bio, Lewinsky responded, "Because learning to laugh about things which hurt or humiliated me is how I survived." And that really just struck me. That struck me because, again, when the scandal took place between Lewinsky and Clinton, it was very much put on her that she was this red scarlet letter, and she was this harlot, and she was this whore, and she seduced Bill Clinton, and no one sympathized with Lewinsky. No one really cared about her story and her experience. So for her to say here, back in 2014, back in 2022, actually, no, yeah. That was a recent response to a Twitter user. This was actually in August 2nd, 2022, when she said, "Because learning to laugh about things which hurt or humiliated me is how I survived." Wow. Yeah. So that was really interesting because, yeah, there's this like lack of care for her experience in that scandal. I think definitely accountability is made, right? I think she should be accountable for sure for her action, because I think, though, yes, there's a stark age difference, and yes, there's a power dynamic between them, absolutely, but she's still 21, and she was still able to have gotten that position. Like, I'm sure she was smart enough or well versed enough and well well networked enough to be able to secure that position of the unpaid intern. So her being 21, yes, is very young and yada yada yada, but it's still, she still was an adult. She still was an adult. But regardless, though, I think it's very interesting to me how she wasn't really cared for. Like, no one had gentle gloves to handle her either, and so she was hurt and humiliated from that situation. But yeah, so Beyonce, are you gonna remove Lewinsky? She Monica Lewinsky all on my gown. Oh, that's a dope ass song. Shout out to Partition. Shout out to Partition. Okay, so Kim Kardashian is a white woman again. Kim Kardashian is a white woman again. And I say that because she is awfully skinny now. She's awfully skinny now. Even her butt has deflated. If you notice, like, if you really notice, like, she doesn't have that, like, fat ass. Like, she had a fat ass, right? Like you had to say, oh, she had a big butt. No. She had a fat ass. Years ago, she had a fat ass. Now, it's like she has a skinny, big butt. She got a skinny, big butt. And the reason why I'm saying skinny like that is because you think about the thigh and butt ratio and the thigh gap and how small her waist is and how small her thighs are. It's like an anorexic Barbie. Like, it's actually very creepy. Like, imagine seeing that in person. It might be very startling. So Kim Kardashian's back to being a white woman. So is Khloe. Khloe Kardashian has been looking different every day since 2014. Okay, like, I can't keep up with how much she changes her face, her lips, her Botox get filled in more and more. But she is much thinner now. But it's so weird because she has this big ass head. So it's like, that toy. Is it Weeble Wobbles, but they don't fall down? Those big headed toys that you'll put on the top on your dashboard. That's how Khloe Kardashian looks, because she has this big head and her body fat is so small that it's not well proportioned with her big ass head. And I'm saying that respectfully. Anyway, so Kim Kardashian decided to take to Instagram to reveal her body fat. And I think she did so because she wanted to just speak to people that she's not too thin, I guess. So the headline of this is called Kim Kardashian reveals her body fat percentage in shocking test results after fans insist star has gotten too thin. Yeah, so basically she's trying to respond to all the critiques that she's receiving about how thin she looks, how very, very thin she looks. So she's trying to speak against that. Like, hey, I'm not this thin. Look, I'm not thin. I have a lot of body fat. Look at this body fat. Like, girl, what? But I don't know how to read this shit. Like, what are you talking about? So anyway, it says the date. Okay, so there's two dates here. There's a measured date. So on May 10th, back in 2021, she had the body fat of 25%. But just recently, August 3rd, 2022, she now has a body fat of 18.8. So, like, is this really helping her case or hurting her case? Right? Like, I don't know if she's trying to. But anyway, they say that the 18.8% body fat is considered to be an athletic category. Okay, so she's trying to prove to us that, look, I'm not too thin. I'm like, actually, I'm healthy. I'm right within the athletic category. And so, no need to worry. No need to fear. I'm athletic over here. So she again filled the screen for her Instagram story, adding a caption of her own. She wrote, "You hear that? My bones are stronger than 93 to 97% of people. The reveal comes amid concern from fans about the mom of four's size as she continues to slim down. She and her sister, Khloe Kardashian, are known to document their intense workouts online. And it's, you know what's so funny about these like people who are so quick to post online their intense workouts, right? Like, I'm doing, 50,000 squats with the band on, with the slim waist trainer set on, with my eyes closed, and with the bandana on. Just to prove to us that they're so serious about their workout regime. They work out every day. They work out for an hour, if not more. But it's like, shut the fuck up. You have a BBL. Like, what are we talking? Like, you had surgery. That's why you're so skinny. You didn't lose weight to get here. You already lost weight due to surgery. And now you're in the gym trying to appear as if, oh, I'm really here to demonstrate that I'm losing weight because of all these squats that I'm doing. No, you're not. You lost weight before you arrived to the gym because you just came from the cutting board. You came from the doctor's office in Brazil. Like, what are we talking about here? Just a fucking lie. Just like Sheree Whitfield. I'm sorry to say her full name, but like, Sheree from Real Housewives of Atlanta. Okay, she started off like, and I'm noticing a difference that she definitely had surgery done. She got caught up in the procedural lifestyle than how she looked earlier on in Real Housewives of Atlanta. She was already like more fit than the rest of the cast members. Like, she really did care about, or does care, I think she still does care about working out and doing her squats and going to the gym and all of that. But her body now compared to then is totally different. Like, her body now, you could see more of this like filling of an ass, feeling of a thigh fat, and it's so well proportioned that it just doesn't look like, and look, sure, maybe there are cases where people are achieving the body that they want and the body that is so like desirable simply through working out. But in this case, though, it's not the case. I think Sheree, it's alleged that she did have surgery to kind of fluctuate her body to make it more of an hourglass figure. And so that is what you see here with Sheree Whitfield. Like, she also, like, it's just one thing or another. It's just all a lie. It's deception, right? You have Kim and Khloe Kardashian talking about, we're losing weight because we're in the gym 24/7. No, you're losing weight because you're taking diet pills that make you shit more, okay? And you're coming from the office, you're coming from the procedural table, getting cut up every 3 weeks. That's why you're losing weight. That's why you're so thin. Oh, I'm in the athletic category. Shut up. Are you running track, Kim Kardashian? Are you running track? Huh? Are you in the Olympics, Kim Kardashian? Athletic category. What are you talking about? Are you a fucking athlete? Like, you don't even make any sense. Shut up. Okay, so Mystical is a rapist yet again. What the fuck is going on? What is happening? I remember this case happening years ago. Like, this is nothing new. I remember years ago hearing of him and a possible an actual rape charge or a rape charge, right? Whether it was, alleged or an actual factual situation. But there's history with this. Apparently, he has a tendency of getting back at women who wrong him by raping them, which is just crazy, right? Like, you're a whole man. But I've realized, and I know people say, I watch a lot of Law and Order SVU, just like the rest of y'all. Like, I am a fan of that show, okay, to this day. Shout out to Olivia Benson. And all the time in the show, they say that rape is not about sexual desire. It's about control. It's about deeming control and authority over someone. And maybe making yourself feel like you are in control, like you have authority, like you have power. So rape is not about, oh, I'm in need of sex. It's not about that. It's not this sexual desire being fulfilled by any means. No, it's about control. And I never really accepted that as a explanation. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what are you talking about? But it actually makes sense, especially in this case here with Mystical. So I'm going to read what took place, because he is accused of rape and domestic violence by strangulation of a woman. And so let's look at what took place. This actually took place in Louisiana. And let's see, I want to try to find Okay. So Mystical, who grew up in New Orleans and now lives in Prairieville, is accused of attacking the woman, taking her keys and holding her against her will, according to an arrest warrant. What? Sheriff Detective Garrett Keith testified Tuesday that the woman went to Tyler's home. Tyler is his last name, Mystical's last name. Tyler's home about 8 p.m. Saturday to talk about an alleged financial commitment he had made to her. He said the woman reported that Tyler's behavior changed abruptly after he went into the bathroom and returned. He accused her of stealing cash, choked her, and pulled out her hair. And she was wearing braids at the time, so that shit was tight probably, right? Tyler later apologized, prayed with her, y'all. Like, what? Prayed with her and threw rubbing alcohol on her to cleanse her of, quote, bad spirits, end quote, before raping her. How you cleanse me of bad spirits and then rape me? Aren't you the bad spirit? Keith testified. So basically what allegedly took place was this woman, apparently she was his braider, and he found out that she allegedly stole from him a couple $1,000. So as a get back, he decided to invite her over his home under disguise of, hey, I just need you to braid my hair or do my hair, which is actually weird because he's actually bald now, so I don't really understand that. Okay, but that's what I heard. Anyway, so he got, he disguises the reason why he invites her over. She comes over under that pretense. It's all good, it's good vibes, or it's cool enough, but then he finally shows his real reason as to why he invited her over. He accused her of stealing from him and rapes her, allegedly. Actually, this actually happened prior, right? There was a case I read about and learned about that he did years ago, in which, maybe that's what I was talking about. Yeah, so there was a case. Okay, that's what I was referencing. So what I just told you guys, the story I just said about the woman coming in to braid his hair, being that he's bald now, that's not the right timing. Years ago, I think it was, years ago, a couple years ago, a woman who was his braider, because at one point, y'all remember Mystical, he had hair. Like, he wasn't bald like he is now. He had hair, like a full head of hair, so much so that he had braids. And his hairstylist was a woman. She allegedly stole money from him. And he found out about it. And he lured her into a hotel room under the guise of, hey, I just need you to braid my hair, which he had hair at the time. So that story makes sense, right? So she comes over. It ended up being him and a couple of his guys there. They gang raped her. And they gang raped her. They beat her up, choked her out. She's alive, thankfully. But they did all of that because he found out that she stole money from him. So this recent case of him inviting this woman over and his behavior suddenly changing and accused her of stealing money from him and choked her out is another similar case. Like, first of all, how much money does Mystical have? Can we start there? How we have so many years apart from two different cases of similar behavior and, actions taking place. But I don't really know, is Mystical really packing out here? Like, does he have a lot of money? Like, did he make a lot of money from his musical career? I don't think that really lasts long, right? From what I've heard of the predatory business of the music career, of the music field. So did he make investments otherwise and was able to live off of those investments? Like, how could you afford that? But yeah, so you have so many years apart in between both cases in which the same thing took place. So it's just interesting to me. So anyway, the reason why I say and why I am understanding now that rape is not about sexual desire, it's about control and like making clear who's the big man here, who's the authority figure here. Him paying her back, right? Him getting her back for stealing from him and him doing so by raping her, that was his way of exerting his control. That was his way of letting her know, yeah, you stole, like, even though you stole from me, I'm still that nigga. I'm still that man, and you can't take that power away from me. So I'm going to let you know who's really the bitch here. Like, who's really the one. I'm going to victimize you because you victimized me by stealing from me. So I'm going to rape you to let you know who the fuck I am. And then, of course, it's all disgusting, right? Like, of course, I'm not condoning any of that. I'm just, like, explaining how rape is really about control, because I didn't understand that for so long. So learning about this case with Mystical, I see how rape is about control and how him raping her was his way of exerting his control. It's all just so disturbing and disgusting. So anyway, so his bond was denied. So he is currently in prison for this, and it's just sick. Like, how much money you got to be stolen from so many times? Like, what? That's really where I want to go with it, you know. But, you know, I'm sorry to that woman and the previous woman as well. Like, that, that's still disturbing. But yeah, y'all, that's it. That's all I have for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed any part of this episode, if I made you laugh, cry, you know, question, you know, ponder, make sure you leave a positive review. Make sure you give me 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts. Okay? All of that is greatly encouraged and appreciated. So thank you so much for listening, and I will check in with you guys next time. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of God Built This Podcast with your host, Maxine. Be sure to leave a review, give me 5 stars, and of course, subscribe. Also, follow God Built This Podcast on Instagram at God Built This Pod. God bless.